coming up in just a few runs. It's I Want to Be the Fan game. Now, we have a bid incentive for the secret GLaDOS fight. If this is met, we'll show off the secret GLaDOS fight during the I Want to Be the Fan game run. In order to hit that, the bid incentive is $25,000. We're a little over halfway of that now. We're currently sitting at about, let me refresh it to make sure I got the right one, about $13,100. So we have about approximately $12,000 to go before we hit that. That's coming up in just a few runs. So make sure you get that in. All right, now I do believe we are ready for our next run. And this is going to be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order by Panache.
Hello everyone, I'm Panache, and welcome to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I would first like to start off by thanking AGDQ for the opportunity to be here today. And thank you to everyone for your kind, generous donations for such an amazing cause, Prevent Cancer Foundation. And it looks like we just broke $1 million, which is absolutely amazing. And let's set some new records this year. I've been a huge fan of GDQ and speedrunning for the entire 10-year course of Games Done Quick I've been watching, and it's crazy to believe that it's been this long, but I never ever expected to be here. I always watched speedrunners and I was like, man, how do these guys do it? This is crazy. And I picked up this game and just happened. So I'd also like to thank the Jedi Fallen Order speedrunning community, because without them I would absolutely never be here today. And a little bit about myself. I've been speedrunning this game since March of last year. I played it like a ton casually, and I just absolutely love the game. I 100% of this game on Grandmaster, and then for some reason I decided to play it another 1,000 hours and speedrun it and just throw everything I learned out the window, because we don't do any of that in the game. This is my first speedrun. I have not speedrun any other games, and as I said, I really enjoyed it. So that's what really made me get into it. If you're interested in speedrunning this game at all, stop by my YouTube channel. I'm really active on YouTube, and I have tutorials for like every single glitch in the game, individual levels, how to get started, and Jedi Grandmaster speedrun boss kills, and also speedrun.com/JFO, where we have a link to our community Discord with runners that are extremely helpful, willing to answer any question that anyone would ever have. The speedrun is absolutely extremely technical. It's a lot of fun. It's based around movement and some crazy glitches that I hope you guys really enjoy tonight. So that being said, the last thing I would like to say is I would like to dedicate this run to my 87-year-old grandmother, who within the past year was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. Fortunately, she's responding well to the treatment. The tumors have shrunk, and she's a real trooper. She's doing well. So this one's for you, Grandma. I love you. Sorry, just a little emotional there. And now I have with me two of the best runners in the world, Bang Up Job as usual and Vesper One, and I would like to give them a chance to introduce themselves at this point.
Go ahead, Vesper.
All right, so my name is Vesper One. I have been speedrunning this game for about a year. I got into it right when it launched, and I loved the game casually. And as soon as I saw a speedrun, I was instantly hooked, and I've just been nonstop loving this game ever since, and I'm really happy to be here, really happy to raise some money for a really great cause. And yeah, Panache is going to crush it.
And bang up job as usual. Panache, that was a really great introduction. Thank you for that. I am one of the moderators of the community. As Panache did point out, if what you're going to see today is a pretty wild run with some really impressive stuff in it, and it's really fun to do. So if you have any interest at all in this speed run and in joining our community, or just if you want to chat, go to speedrun.com/JFO, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the link to our Discord. Come join us.
All right, so I think that covers everything about us, about the community, and it looks like we are pretty much ready to begin. I am going to start off by loading up a save file, which is going to put us into, we're going to skip the beginning cutscene and we're going to load directly into the first input of the game, but I'm going to start a pre-timer, and I will give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown when we are ready to start time, and time ends at the final input in the final QT. Worth noting that I have QTs disabled, but when Cal stabs Vader is time. So we will give you a warning there as well. I am going to load up my save file now, and I will give you a 3, 2, 1 at the time we will begin. We are Braca bound. 20 minutes of cutscenes.
Let's go.
Yes, this game is front-loaded with a lot of cutscenes.
2, 1, go.
I'm right behind you.
All right, so at the very beginning of the game, we can see that Panache is rolling everywhere that he goes, and that's because that's his fastest movement option. At the moment, the game is trying to teach Panache a lot about how movement works with Cal, and so he doesn't have the ability to sprint yet, but rolling is the fastest way for him to get around, so he's going to roll everywhere that he goes until sprinting is unlocked. It was very important that he gets in front of that NPC that was behind us. That is our friend, Prof. The reason that it's important to get in front of Prof is because if Prof attempts to jump across a gap before Cal can get there, he knocks the ledge down, and Cal has to do this slow climbing animation. It takes like a good 2 or 3 seconds, or maybe 2 seconds, for him to climb up. So this saves a lot of time to get past him by rolling.
That's also one of the advantages of loading up a save file. We don't have to deal with that because Prof, he's like the Flash.
Hey, you okay?
When you actually start a new game, Prof, when we load a save file, he just stands there and waits for us. So we don't have that problem. We can just run or roll past Prof very easily. We don't have to worry about that whole platforming thing. But go on and resume what you're talking about, Bang. Just wanted to add on there.
Yeah, that's great. So now that Panache has come off of that slide, he has the ability to sprint, which is now his fastest movement option for whenever he's on flat ground. If he's moving up a slope, though, he will still have to roll in order to move as quickly as he possibly can, because slopes slow you down. He just did a climbing section. Climbing sections are very finicky in this game. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. Climbing can be very tough, and now we've encountered our first balance beam. Balance beams are also very tough because if you don't land directly in the middle of them, then Cal will do a stumble, and if you land too far off of them, then he will actually fall down, and you have to climb back up on top of the balance beam. And that particular balance beam is tough because the camera is ripped out of your control, and so if you're using mouse and keyboard in particular, it can be very tough to reorient yourself in such a way that you can hit the balance beam in the center like you need to.
Yeah, it's a lot
Here he's going to
easier
climb
controller.
up. Yes, controller has its advantages and disadvantages, and that is one of the advantages of controller. Here the game wants you to do a whole climbing section, but we're going to skip all that, just jumping down, and this is the toughest rope in the game. It's extremely precise, and landing exactly where Panache did skipped another huge climbing section, which is very slow, and so he's probably saved about 10 or 12 seconds by doing that. So this part of the run, it is very precise and very optimized. Panache, if he has a really great run or a very terrible run, those runs will probably fall within about 2 or so seconds of each other at this point. So there's not a lot of room for huge improvement, and it's very reset heavy. So any error, no matter how small, causes us to go all the way back to the beginning of the game. So there was a small optimization there that Panache made by jumping as close to the corner of that first clamp as possible. If he does it very precisely correctly, it's almost pixel perfect. He can actually reach all the way around the corner in his first jump. And now we are into our first mini cutscene, which will then take us on to kind of a cutscene playable section. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to, first of all, read some donations, and then we'll start talking about what this game really is.
All right, sure. We've got a $25 donation from Baron Carrot of Caldara, who says, here to support Panache in the Fallen Order run. Your fellow clanmates from Caldara are rooting for you.
Thank you, guys.
If this is still a thing, and it says if this is still a thing this year, runner's choice. So if you have a choice, it'll go to that.
Awesome.
Let's see. We have a $100 donation from Michael Slater, who says, good luck on the Jedi Fallen Order run. I won't be able to watch due to currently playing through the story mode myself and wanting to avoid spoilers, but we'll make sure to watch later. Thank you, Michael, for the $100.
All right, great. So Vesper, would you mind telling everyone about what the story is? When is this taking place? Who are we? What's going on?
Okay, so this game is set about 5 years after the events of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Cal is basically a Jedi on the run. His master sacrificed himself for Cal to escape the Purge, and in the last 5 years, Cal has been working as a scrapper on the planet Baraka, which is the one we're on now, taking apart capital ships from the era of the Galactic Civil War, and you've essentially just been trying to keep your head down for the last 5 years and stay off the Empire's radar. And Cal actually cut himself off from the Force partially to avoid being detected by the Inquisitors, which are basically the Jedi police, and well, you'll meet them soon enough.
Exactly, yeah. And unfortunately, Cal blows it right here when he saves his buddy Prof from falling to his death right in front of an Imperial droid. So, oopsie daisy, his cover is blown. He probably could have done a little bit better if he had not used his real name on the planet.
It's a wonder he made it 5 years.
Exactly. He's not exactly an unknown guy, and his former master, who died during Order 66, was a legendary Jedi master by the name of Jaro DePaul, which, of course, no one has ever heard of if you have not played this game. We're not going to spoil that much for you in this game today. This run is pretty deviant from the way that you would play this game casually. Unfortunately, the very end of the game, it has a very cool and interesting ending that we are going to spoil. If you have not played this game casually, you might want to avert your eyes for the last, like, maybe minute or so. We'll give a little bit of a warning before that happens. But the rest of the game, you could watch the speedrun almost all the way through and not have any part of it ruined for you. For sure, the most interesting character in the game, really fascinating character called Turn Malicos. We don't even meet him in this speedrun because we cut so much out of it.
Catch a glimpse of him.
Former Jedi.
He is a former Jedi, and played by the guy who played Spartacus as well. Really some A-list actors in this game. Really impressive. Who Respawn was able to put together in order to... Oh, everyone's wearing a Panache parka. Poncho. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd like to thank a member of our community who made this custom poncho, Link, LG. You can check out his Twitch and give him a follow. He did an absolutely amazing job on this custom poncho for GDQ that I'm wearing right now.
It looks great.
And
I didn't realize that NPCs were going to wear it too. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's E-Link LG, pronounced L-Link.
Yeah, and he's also a fantastic runner as well.
Yeah, he's
definitely check him
one of our best runners as well, in addition to Vesper.
Yeah. Actually, Vesper 1, I think right now you have the world record in this game. Is that right?
Yep, by about 5 seconds. E-Link's right there behind me, and I used to have it in normal any percent as well until about a week ago. Also to E-Link, he's just really
we're
good
all
at the game.
top 3 in both 80% and 80% no PBC right now.
Yeah, that is incredible to be that tight in a game this long. The speed run, the world record for this, it's 140. Help me out, Vesper.
142.08.
142.08.
142.08.
Yeah, and so we're at the point where we have a theoretical perfect run that is 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it's a 3% off from the theoretical best possible run. For a run like this that's so execution heavy, it is a constant barrage. After the next major cutscene, this game is nonstop execution.
All right, we get to
have
play
to
the
do
game
everything. We have to do everything pretty much perfectly through the end of the game in order to be even close to competitive. And so, yeah, it's really fun and really interesting to run, but it's also extremely competitive now. So, yeah, that's a great part of this. So let's talk about the categories a little bit. So the category that we're running today is any percent no pause buffer clips. The pause buffer clip was an exploit that we discovered early on in this game's existence that essentially allows Cal to pass through solid objects if he's moving quickly enough and you can cause enough lag in the game. The way that we used to do this was by having essentially a slower PC, dashing toward a particular wall and doing like a flip, and then we pause the game, and if your PC is slow enough, then you pass through to the other side. Because the game was because that trick was hardware specific and required slower hardware, we decided to segregate it out and make it a separate category. But since then, as a matter of fact, I believe it was you, Pinash, who discovered a way to do that exact same glitch on almost any hardware, or perhaps any hardware, using either Alt-Tab, and now we use F11 to change the resolution of the game. If you do a dash into barriers that are thin enough and you press F11 at just the right time, then you can pass through that barrier. And as a result of that, some parts of the game open up to you that didn't exist for the category that doesn't allow this particular trick. And so those are the first two categories. The first one being with pause buffer clip, and the second one being without. The most popular one is the one without. And then we also have a category for all bosses on Jedi Grandmaster and 100%. And that's all of the categories that we run in this game. The any percent and any percent with no pause buffer clipping are within a couple minutes of each other, 2 or so minutes of each other right now, because no one has discovered a route that is particularly effective for the pause buffer clip trick with the current route that we have. The all bosses run, how long does that take, Vesper? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think the world record is 241 at the moment.
241 by Geolin, is that right?
Yep.
Geo just recently absolutely crushed a an all bosses run. Oh god, it must have been just a couple of days ago. Really brilliant run there. And then the 100% run is what, 3 hours? Again, help me out. Do you know, Vesper?
Just under 4 hours. I think it's 356
by L-Link as well. Geolin actually is a member of the challenge running community who did a no dodge, no hit, no death run world first on Jedi Grandmaster. So she's like really good at Jedi Grandmaster combat and gameplay, and she actually had to learn the entire any percent run from scratch in order to do this all boss run. So she's been working at that for months.
Yeah, combat in this game, with this run, this route that we currently have for any percent, we enter combat and actually fight something. Geez, how many times, Vesper?
once.
Oh, what was the question?
How many times do
CATSD.
we enter?
And we also, it's worth noting, we play on
Just one
story
time.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah. So we play this game on story mode, which is because it is the fastest way to complete the game. But on one fight of this game, which is going to be coming up in a little bit, we will change it over to Jedi Grandmaster, which is the hardest difficulty because we need to lose that fight as quickly as possible. So Cal's been exposed as being a Jedi, and he broke out his lightsaber, and now things are about to get just a little bit crazy.
13 minutes later, we get to play the game.
Finally, the game starts. We're still on a tutorial planet. We're very much on rails, which is ironic because we're actually on a train.
All right, it's time to reset.
Super linear planet.
Reset.
Uh-oh.
And so it's still trying to teach Panache how to block and move and strike and whatever, but he's going to do a trick right here that enables him to do a jump that is very, very high. It's called a target lock jump, and there it is. So the way that that trick works, you have to lock onto an enemy and then jump, and at the very peak of your jump, you press either the block button or the slow button. That puts Cal into a loop of jumping and restarting his jump over and over and over again. It's a very precise trick. Panache just got it twice in a row like it was no big deal. This takes a ton of practice to do consistently. It's very, very difficult. That's a very long target lock jump there.
He's just nailing
He's
them.
nailing them. This is going great so far. Really, really well done. And as a result of jumping onto those train cars instead of going through them, he's skipped several minutes of cutscenes and tutorials. Yeah, they want to teach you how to block and how to whatever, think about things. It's much faster
Since
to go on top.
the train is just literally a straight line, so all we can really do to make this faster is just to skip all the little tutorial bits inside the train cars, because we already know how to do everything. And funnily enough, the game tells you you're able to sprint at this point in the train, even though it gives you the ability to sprint way back at the slide at the very start. So it's just, it's funny. You have to play the game for like 15 minutes before it even tells you.
And now here we get into a series of climbing sections, which are all very janky because climbing works really best in the cardinal directions, up, down, left, right, and diagonals. And whenever we climb, we want to make sure that we're jumping anywhere that we can. And jumping is really iffy while you're climbing. Things can move away from you, or Cal won't quite jump in the direction that you expect him to jump. And so it's very tough to build a precise and repeatable climbing technique that will get you to the top of each climb very precisely.
Yeah, I'm
you want to
sure
make sure that you're not
noticed
getting
that if you've played casually. I know I did.
Yeah, definitely. Climbing is super awkward. And Panache is being very careful to not get too close to the top of each section that he's climbing because he wants to be able to jump onto the ledge because that saves just like about a half second or so. Makes a big difference just like that. That was perfect. Here he's going to attempt to do a almost frame perfect super jump. He got it. Beautiful, beautiful super jump. We don't know why that happens, but if you hit it at just the right frame, then Cal will do a jump all the way to the top of that grate. And now we're headed into the first trick that was ever named after our runner, Panache.
His signature skip.
This is a beautiful
Named
skip. So he's jumping on top of this train car. The game expects you to climb up and out of the hole that's on the train car here to our right. But instead, we're just going to walk off the edge and fall
I was
through
playing
the
this
train.
game and I was just like, I wonder what happens if you jump off the edge. And then I jumped on the Discord and I was like, have you guys ever done this? And then they're like, oh my God, like what? Like,
Well, we didn't know that we thought this was a soft lock, and then Panache showed us that if you jump at just the right moment, and it's very tight, as a matter of fact, it is a very, very tight trick. If you don't jump at the right moment, it can be, oh, and he got it. Beautiful, beautiful.
continue.
Then you can
Awesome.
void out and have to go back a solid 30 or 40 seconds. And somehow Panache
So
found
yeah,
this.
we jump into the cutscene trigger there because it's still there somehow, and it kind of goes into like an endless loop there of. But if you miss it, there is a gap, and you will fall until you fall.
going
Basically
down
have to
and
reset.
restart that
Like
section.
you're completely soft locked, and you may as well you have to reset. So there, I just set the game to Jedi Grandmaster because this sequence here is scripted, and you cannot win or lose. And the fastest way to get past it is to lose. And Trilla, the second sister, will kill us in 3 hits on Jedi Grandmaster.
So
And that last trick that he just demonstrated, he can literally do it with his eyes closed. He just did that for us a few minutes ago, right before the run started, and we don't know how he does it.
it's actually a trick that has really no visual cue. It kind of has a visual cue, but it's very you have to get to that spot of the train at exactly the same time every time that you attempt to do it. So it's just not a reliable visual cue. And instead, what we usually do is rely on a time from the moment that we fall off the train. But Panache has such a feel for it that he's able to make that jump at the right time. And when I say that it's tight, I mean, we're talking about, between 1/10 and 1/4 second of precision with no visual or audio cue. So it's a very tough trick to do and brave to do in a marathon setting like this, and I'm really glad that he did.
It's
It's
free.
really cool.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's free.
Yeah, okay.
So Panache got killed by the second sister here in 3 hits and saved and headed into the Mantis. You may have also played this game in Jedi Grandmaster, and you may have noticed that it took 5 hits for you to be killed by the second sister. If that's the case, it's because you had more than one save file. It was the second save file that you created. We don't know why this happened, but there's a glitch in the code where the second save file that you create has something like 30% additional health bar, which is fantastic if you're playing casually and terrible if you're trying to speedrun, because we really want to get killed by the second sister in 3 hits, not 5. And the difference between those 3 hits and 5 hits is probably about 2 seconds,
Yeah, it's about 2 or 3.
which tells you how much of a competitive planet this one is. Again, a brilliant world record setting run of that particular planet, and a terrible but still potentially competitive run of that planet are separated by about 10 seconds. Maybe 15 at the most. If you're 15 seconds behind world record at the point that we're at now, you are probably restarting your run, which means a lot of cutscenes to watch over and over and over again. Every time that you attempt to run this game, it takes some getting used to. We've seen these cutscenes, Panache, Vesper, and I, hundreds of times
we
now.
can quote them all word for word.
Many hours of our lives.
And it's hard to watch them. We really wish that there was skippable cutscenes, because these cutscenes are so hard to watch the 100th or 200th time. A lot of the research that we do in finding skips and finding new glitches starts with a cutscene that we really wish we didn't have to watch, and then we work backward from there. Like, how is it possible for us to not watch this cutscene? And so,
Don't get me wrong,
it's almost a
the
double-edged
cutscenes,
sword.
and the devs did an absolute amazing job with this game, and all of the cutscenes I just don't want to watch in the speedrun.
exactly.
So if that could be
yeah.
if that could be a thing, like that'd be amazing.
Yeah, devs, if you're listening,
actually-
oh God, please let us have
Like in
skippable
like New Game
cutscenes.
Plus or something. Or
It's kind of a bittersweet thing, because on one hand, if they did give us skippable cutscenes, I don't know that we would have found some of the skips that we have in this game.
It's been the catalyst. Especially Brendo's skip comes to mind.
Exactly right. Yes.
Back in an older iteration of the route, basically the cutscene was well over 5 minutes long, and the skip that one of our community members, Brendo, found took about 3 minutes to fully set up, and you could still mess up on it and still save multiple minutes over the cutscene because it was just that long.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And it just saved that much time.
Yeah, and it took, I mean, probably 100 hours or 200 hours of research just from him, plus other people helping to find that one skip. That's how motivated we are to cut skips out of this game. And so or cut cutscenes out of this game. So you know, on one hand, yes, it would be really great if we could skip cutscenes. On the other hand, thank you for not giving us the ability to skip cutscenes.
At least we have something to do.
It's been a great catalyst for lots of discoveries and lots of necessitated inventions and new tech.
We've learned a lot because of that. That's for sure.
I just want to put on my poncho.
So this game, if you haven't already noticed, it is a bit of a Dark Souls-like. It is punishingly difficult to play casually. I think for a lot of people, that's how a lot of people would consider it to be. Once you get the hang of it, though, and get the feel for it, it kind of flows and makes sense. And it's a game that you can really be competent at. I guess probably similarly to Dark Souls.
Do I know you?
It's like a Dark Souls / Uncharted / Metroidvania type of experience.
Exactly.
It's got a little bit of
I
everything.
really like how the combat feels once you get a hang for it in this game on Jedi Grandmaster compared to Dark Souls.
Yeah, it actually does feel really good. The only thing that is like a huge difference and a big adjustment for people who are new to this game is the timing of blocking and parries.
Yeah.
In this game, it's a little bit earlier than you would expect. You've got to really get Cal to commit
And iframes.
to his block, to his parry, exactly. Iframes are really different in this game,
Very
and Cal does
different.
not have a lot of them, so
Yeah.
it takes a lot of getting his
Should we try to work some donations in?
Yeah, now's actually a great time for donations. Thank
Probably,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, we have got a lot that have been coming in. We have a $100 donation from Style, who says, "Saw, dude. As a longtime friend of this amazing 6'10" human being, what better time for my first donation?"
Chris.
This one is for Grandma, quite possibly the nicest person on earth. All three of us are watching and rooting you on this awesome run. You are killing it with much love. Chris, Christina, and baby Layla.
Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
that's so nice.
Awesome.
So we've just reached the planet of Bogano. Bogano is the first open world planet that we visit in this game. It gives us the initial destination of heading to this vault, but we're going to have to make a few stops along the way. The first and most important thing is that we're going to have to pick up our sidekick BD, and then also we're going to have to get the ability to do wall run, and then finally we're going to have to unlock the planet of Dathomir. So those things are all on our checklist. They don't have to be done in any particular order, but it is important that we do all of them, or else we will face a soft lock.
You do have to get BD before you go to the temple because it's required for him to scan something that lets you play the cutscene that unlocks Zepho.
Oh my goodness, great point. I totally forgot about that. Yes.
But other than that, you can do pretty much any order you want.
Exactly right. So now we're sprinting. The very first thing that Panache is going to do is target an enemy that's hiding underground and use him to do his very first target lock jump here to get out of bounds. Or into an area that he's not supposed to be yet. He's going to pick up this memory to get a little bit of experience points because we're going to need a couple of skills to move very quickly throughout the rest of the game. And he's headed directly over to the wall run area. If you make these jumps just so, then you don't have to climb. That was very tough. It's very precise, both of those jumps. We come down into this little cove, and we're going to have to do another target lock jump. Perfect, in order to get up above and fall into this hole. This hole is very precise, and if he lands it, oh, just barely missed it, but it was pretty good anyway.
Not my fault.
And now we're into... now we're headed into the area where we're going to get the wall run ability. If we were playing with pause buffer clips allowed, then this would be the first place that a pause buffer clip would take place in order to exit the memory early and rejoin the planet with the ability without having to watch the memory. So, yes, so this part is just as it is casually.
Yeah,
just
so this
as
area
quickly as
here
possible.
is actually above Bogano, and you gain the ability to wall run as soon as you enter that flashback. So what we would do in a pause buffer clip run is we would clip through that death plane below and fall all the way back down onto Bogano with the ability to wall run and skip this entire flashback sequence, which saves about a minute.
So there are two main routes on Pagano. One is where you get BD first, and one is where you get wall run first. Panache does the wall run first route, which, in my opinion, is a little higher risk, but it also is slightly faster. Both of them are still completely viable.
That's right. So that wall run tutorial, that was done as quickly as it possibly can be done. The important thing that Panache did there was not go too fast, because as those walls are assembling themselves, you can actually wall run on a wall that is not totally assembled yet and fall down and have to go back to the beginning. And so patience is a virtue. So here we're going to exit out of this hole in a way that was totally unintended by the developers, with a couple of well-placed target lock jumps. And again, those target lock jumps are extremely difficult and very tight, and so far Panache is just nailing them. Another target lock jump will get us out of bounds here, and we're going to use a target across this gap to jump onto some 3D geometry that we cannot see, and then all the way across this gap. And that was perfect. Perfect target lock jump.
Ran out of force.
So Panache ran out of force there, which is important and worth talking about, because the way that force power works in this game, you have an unlimited amount of force as long as no enemies have aggroed you. So if no enemies are attempting to attack you, they're not aware of you, you can use force indefinitely and forever. But as soon as an enemy has targeted you, then you have a very limited amount of force. You can upgrade the amount of force that you get in this game, but of course, that is slow, and we're not going to do it. So we just use the very minimum amount of force that is necessary. We optimize around when we think that we're going to be aggroed by an enemy, and make sure that we're only using enough force that we're not going to run out. It can be very costly and time-consuming to have to rebuild force. In this mode of the game, force does come back to you over time. In harder modes of the game, you actually have to earn force back, so changes things quite a bit.
So I should actually mention that Panache is using an invisible BD1 mod, mainly just to show off the puncher. So BD is actually still on his back, and doing that little cutscene with the stims is actually what unlocks BD to actually travel with you, and that's the only thing we need to actually do. We don't have to meditate. All we need to do is unlock those stims.
Yeah, perfect, exactly. It's almost unfortunate that no one's going to see BD here today. The thing is that he's actually quite cute. He kind of rides around on your shoulder like a pirate's parrot.
A lot of one-liners.
And yeah, exactly. He's full of one-liners. So now we've finally reached the vault, and we're going to enter, I think, the next long set of cutscenes coming up here. It might be the last long set of cutscenes. Maybe there's one more after this that's really long.
Zepho.
And leaving Zepho.
Cheek.
Right. Oh, yeah, so we do have a few
Got
more
about 3 minutes and 20 seconds here until control.
Right, right. So
Probably work some donations in during this cutscene.
this is a great idea, yeah.
All right. We have a $70 donation from Burr D1, who says, Panache, we are so proud of you. You've got this. May the launch gods be merciful.
Thank you.
Love, Birdie One.
Birdie One.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Appropriate timing.
We all know who that is.
Let's see here. We have a $10 donation from Professor Tom, who says, hi, AGDQ. Two of my favorite games, Jedi Fallen Order and Resident Evil 5 back to back. Good luck to the runners. Donation goes to Sheva Outfit.
I may not know your name, but I know your
We have a $15 donation. This is a special one from Keith. Says, we love Grandma too.
place.
Thank you.
Sacred temple.
So Vesper, could you explain where we're at in the story and what this strange man is telling us to do?
Okay, so the strange man, his name is Eno Cordova. He is Seer Junda's old Jedi master, and he was meditating here at one point and learned that the Jedi Order was soon to end, and he basically left these series of video logs inside BD to hopefully help someone, who ended up being Cal, to find his holocron that he had actually hidden away before the Jedi Purge, that contains a list of Force-sensitive children all over the galaxy. And this is basically setting Cal up on his mission to go find this holocron, which is going to have to go on a galaxy-bending adventure all over the place. to get all the items that he needs and abilities unlocked to actually get to the holocron.
That's right. So actually, the holocron is hiding inside of this vault. So we're gonna have to come back here to get it. But Cordova has sent us on a goose chase all over the galaxy in order to find a key to open this vault.
MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Vesper mentioned Seer, who maybe you should explain a little bit who Seer is.
So Seer No Time Junda is another Jedi from the Purge era, and she's
Former
basically
Jedi.
helping. Basically, yeah, former Jedi working with Grease to basically avoid the Empire, same as Cal's doing, and their paths kind of cross as they did on Braca. And Seer isn't fully honest with Cal about her past. It's kind of like another true from a certain point of view type of situation, as with Obi-Wan in the original movie. And yeah, she's basically telling Cal only what he needs to know at this very moment, and they eventually have some tension at some point in the story. I can't honestly remember what that was about because I haven't watched that cutscene in at least a year.
Yeah, I remember what it's about, but I don't know if we want to spoil it for people because it's for casuals. It's worth seeing.
Yeah, this game makes no sense. There's no story.
Yeah, when you play this game casually, it's totally different from what we're doing today. So, but yeah, Sierra's going to be kind of our mentor character. She's going to teach us how to regain our connection to the Force and guide us to go get our MacGuffin. Panache here has attempted to kill this Ogdo in order to gain its experience points because we took a route that doesn't quite give us enough experience points to buy the skills that we're going to need. He's now taking...
We need to leave Bogano with 2 skill points, and it gives you 1 when you first land, so all we need is 1 more.
That's right. So typically the game is trying to encourage you. Beautiful.
Ooh, sick jump. That jump is really precise.
Very tough. And it's swag. It's so swag. It saves like a quarter second, but it's so good. Really nicely done. So the game doesn't just encourage you, it nearly forces you to purchase a skill before leaving the planet. In fact, it is so expected that you're going to purchase skills before leaving this planet that if you don't purchase a skill before leaving the planet, then you avoid a cutscene with Seer, and you can purchase that skill then on the Mantis once you arrive there while the next planet is loading. So that's a perfect opportunity for us to purchase it. It was important for Panache to take the route that he just did because it unlocked the planet of Dathomir. Unfortunately, that planet is not useful for us yet, but it will be eventually. We're going to get there. And when we do, we're going to skip all of it.
Yeah, it's like maybe play for 12 minutes, and most of that's cutscenes.
Exactly.
We don't go to the swamp at all.
So here, this jump here is actually quite precise, and he got it perfectly. The best that you can do, there's a minor stumble, and we got good RNG for Seer here. So this means that Cal won't be slowed down too much on his way up the ramp. Beautifully done. That was great. And now we're headed off to the next planet, which is Zepho.
Sure, it's not Dathomir?
We could go to Dathomir if you would like.
Dathomir?
You want to go to Dathomir?
Of course you want to go to Dathomir.
That's
Red
direct
sunlight
dialogue out
cannot
of
be
the
good
game.
for your
I want to
skin.
go to Kashyyyk.
So while the next planet...
I kind of just want to go to Nair.
While the next planet is loading, Panache is going to rest in this meditation circle where he will purchase his first 2 skills. Typically, if you do not rest on the planet and purchase your skills there, then you would think that you are soft locked because there's no button to purchase the skills on this screen. But if you know exactly where the button is placed, then you can move your mouse to that location and click there, and it will activate the ability to buy your skills. So that's how you avoid that soft lock. Certainly, it's something that we thought for the longest time was just a soft lock and that there was no way to avoid it. And so we were resting on the planet in order to avoid that soft lock. But turns out it's totally not necessary.
So the 2 skills that he just bought are Overhead Slash and Dash Strike. So Improved Dash Strike, which is the next skill we're going to buy, is the fastest form of horizontal movement in the game. And chaining Dash Strikes is like is not much faster than that, besides like a really crazy launch. And we could grind for one more skill point on Bogano to afford improved dash strike, but that would take way too much time. So just getting regular dash strike at this point is a good balance of time and actually getting XP. So we play the first 2/3 of Zepho with regular dash strike chaining, and we eventually buy improved dash. But yeah, we don't even need overhead slash. We just have to buy it in order to access dash strike.
That's right. Yeah. So the regular dash versus the improved dash dash is essentially twice as far in the same amount of time. So the way that the game expects you to move when you do a dash, there's a couple of different ways that you can control Cal while he's dashing. But the normal expected movement is that you will dash forward and swipe your lightsaber upward, freezing Cal in position for about a quarter second. The way that we move Cal, if we are moving optimally, is by interrupting that movement with another dash at the exact moment that Cal's feet touch the ground at the end of his dash, allowing us to interrupt and cancel one dash with another. That's called dash chaining. And so that's the way that we're going to try to move as much as we possibly can whenever we're on flat ground. And here, Panache is just doing a great job. Yes, it's very tough to chain these dashes together.
Have you menued yet?
He did. And he's headed over to a spot that you wouldn't typically expect him to go if you're familiar with this game casually. And that's because he's going to exploit another glitch that is absolutely mind-bending. And one of the newest, biggest time saves that we have in this route. It turns out that if you dash into a corner just so, that's at a very particular height, and you start to swipe your lightsaber upward, if you jump during that swipe and you can grab a ledge that's just above Cal's head, Cal will put his hands above the ledge and have to adjust them downward, and he will get a launch that is very difficult to predict, but with some precise setups, we can get Cal to launch to places that we absolutely should never be. And that's one of those places. Unfortunately, there's a lot of RNG with this trick.
That's not where we're trying to go.
He got a pretty short variant of that launch, but when he actually gets it, he will launch over halfway across the map and end up basically at the entrance to the tomb.
Right.
Like 4 or 5 minutes before we're actually supposed to be able to get there.
I can feel it in my bones.
That feels great.
That
What a
looks
launch.
really good.
Oh, and he paused the
And he
game
got
to load in the area that he was headed to and paused it again to load in the rest of the map. Perfectly done. Extremely difficult
Round of
trick. Well
applause.
done. Well done.
That's an
beat the
extremely
game.
reset heavy trick.
Well done. Big round of applause. If you're not already clapping at home, please clap. That was excellent. Very difficult trick. Panache was
All right, we got 1%
absolutely
now.
dedicated to making that work for this AGDQ run, and I'm so glad that it did for him. That was great.
Yeah, all you need to do is photo mode, and if you're photo moding or pausing the game, everything will still load in normally, all the collision and textures. So if you photo mode at just the right time above that slide, you can actually get some of the invisible walls to load in, and they kind of corral you and slow you down and land you just on top of the slide. And then he does the exact same trick to get the room that he's in now to load in, and we can basically get to the tomb much faster.
Yeah, so
What
now
we're
we're
trying
just
to do
running
here
around.
is we are trying to do a falling dash off of this ledge and use the wind to carry us up onto a ledge, invisible ledge up here, which we just did. Thank you, blessed
Perfect.
wind.
Got it.
That's also a very difficult trick to reliably do over and over again, which put him up now in front of the tomb that we are headed to, which is perfect. And he's going to do one more launch after killing this goat.
Getting dash strike opens up a lot of tricks in this run for us, and lets us do crazy movement things that are we don't really
Nice
know the full
launch.
potential yet.
Perfect.
We're still discovering new dash related optimizations every day, almost.
And so now he's headed into the elevator for the temple, coming from a direction that the game absolutely did not expect. So well done riding the elevator down. So far, so good. This run is just going absolutely fantastically. One of the things that he was doing when trying to ride that jet of air upward is dash into that air current. And dashing is kind of a peculiar thing in this game because it will look for a ledge, and if Cal is going to cross over that ledge, then it stops Cal before he would go off of it. So if you dash into anything that the game considers to be a ledge, and sometimes it's wrong about that, it could be any like raised 3D geometry at all, then Cal will stop there. However, if you start a dash as Cal is taking a step off of a ledge, and you can only do it for the first step, you get maybe 10 frames or so that you're able to do this dash. You can dash forward through the air, downward, and in a very long distance, which gets you to places that you otherwise absolutely could never reach. It's kind of not just a long jump, but it's also a low long jump, which allows us to avoid bonking our heads on the ceiling, which would knock us into a void out. And so that was
Very useful tech.
very useful,
for
very tough to learn too.
just about anything.
And there was
Oh,
a
and he
beautiful
nailed that
one.
tricky
Beautiful,
jump.
beautiful.
Very high risk, low reward jump. He's determined. He was
Did not
determined
have
to
to
get
do
that
that
one.
at all.
Second time save.
It was just showing
Saves
off.
about a half a second.
Just showing
and
off.
if you mess it up, it loses about 15 seconds. So it's very swag.
So here he's going to make short work of a puzzle that I think probably stumped a lot of casual players for quite a long time.
I missed
and
it.
he did it
I missed
perfectly.
it.
Oh, he missed it. He missed the jump.
Oh, the rhythm
Oh,
is
no.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, he got it second try. That's actually really, it's
Reset.
even harder to do it second try.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go totally the unexpected way to go
can
completely
actually
out of bounds and get force push, the ability to do
Go
force push
around that.
early.
It's, you know.
We just need to go faster than this. The way the game gives us is just too slow.
All right, and here we're going into the room where we would be on the other side of the wall from force push. This is the Ramos skip, but it has been modified by Pnash. If you do a dash into just the right place, you get stuck in the wall. You can kind of jump through that wall
Ooh,
if you
unlucky.
do it very precisely. And let's see if he gets it second
This
try.
wall is really finicky.
It's extremely finicky. You can spend 3, 4, 5 minutes trying to get through this wall. Sometimes it works first try, but that is a total lottery. And is he through?
Very good. Very
yes,
nice.
he's
very
through.
nice. He's through.
Beautiful, beautiful pass through that wall. And now we're going back to the memory where we will unlock the ability to do force push. Panache is turning up the frames per second back to the maximum, which will allow him to do better target lock jumps. Essentially, the faster your frames per second are, the higher your target lock jumps will go. It's a strange correlation that we've discovered.
As well.
Yeah, and there's one more launch on the way out of this tomb
Is
that
also-
basically requires max FPS.
That's right, that's correct. Yeah, so we're going to do one more launch there too. The frames per second target lock jump unfortunately makes the game quite difficult to play at a competitive level for console players because if you do not have for example, the Pro version of the PlayStation, then you are likely stuck at 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second is very tough to play this game at. It is very unresponsive. It will eat your inputs, it'll buffer inputs, and most importantly for a speedrunner, it will totally prevent you from
The game
doing
behaves completely differently.
Yeah, exactly. You won't be able to do target lock jumps almost at all. Your target lock jumps will be low, they'll be unreliable. Even if you do them the exact same way every single time, you will still not get reliable target lock jumps. Maybe 1 in 3, 1 in 5 target lock jumps won't go the way that you expect them to. And that can be a major time loss, especially when you're going up against somebody like trying to compete for world record with Pnash, who gets it every single time first try. So we just unlocked the planet of Kashyyyk. Now we have the ability to push, and we are headed out of this temple. There's a big puzzle here, and there's more than one way for us to cheese our way out of it. But the way that we're going to take...
We don't like the puzzle.
Yeah, puzzles are unnecessary. No, thank you. Instead, we're going to kill this Tomb Guardian so that he's not aggroed
The
against
last
us.
little bit of XP.
Yeah, and also for XP, exactly. So double purpose there.
Ooh, second try. That was
Nicely
perfect.
done.
Couldn't ask
Perfect
for a better launch than
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Didn't have time to explain it.
I didn't.
But it's very similar to the launch we just did to get all the way across the map, except it's more vertical. It doesn't actually let you clip through the wall.
Exactly.
And basically just get back up to the elevator and get out.
Clipping through the wall in that particular instance is a very bad thing. You can actually be soft locked into the wall, and then you have to exit, restart, and you have to redo a big section of Zepho. But it's not so bad. But the way that Panache just did that was absolutely perfect. Well done, man.
Thank you.
One more thing to note about that launch. You might think that you might just land straight inside the elevator, and you might think that's a good idea, but if you try it, you will find that the orb is not actually freed up. It won't actually be pushable until you push that little broken piece of metal, and you can only do that from the outside.
Right.
So you have to land outside of the elevator, push that broken piece of metal, then push the ball.
Yep.
Very strange decision, but it's what we got to do.
Lots of runs have ended to that. If you land inside of the elevator, the ball cannot be pushed. That's right. So you have to land outside of the elevator.
You can PBC out.
Oh,
You just have to change categories really
that's
quick.
right. Yeah. Your run is no longer competitive, really, because you didn't take the wall run PBC. So it's pretty much over.
Yeah, so Panache just learned improved dash strike, which is about 2 or 3 times farther than normal dash and is way better for horizontal movement. And we got everything we need to here on Zepho. We got push, we got Kashyyyk. Now we just need to get the heck out.
That's right. So we're finding the fastest way out of Zepho right now. And we're going to take a route that is relatively new, maybe a month or 2 old, to get back to the Mantis, which is our spaceship, in order to leave the planet. When we get there, though, there will be an ATST waiting for us. This is very difficult. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Nice falling dash.
Very nicely done falling dash. It's very precise and quite difficult.
When there's enemies everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a limited amount of force because you're aggroed, you only have so many tries to do it. There's a rocket trooper. Rocket troopers are very distracting and annoying because rocket troopers can take you off of your feet very easily. So now Panache has to open this door, but it takes a second, and oh, thank goodness he got the door open. It's quite tough.
It's very easy for enemies to just start wailing on you, and you can get stuck there for 30 plus seconds because you just can't get the door opening through, and they'll just keep hitting you over and over
If
again.
Cal doesn't finish the animation of opening the door, then the door does not open. So you may have noticed that room was extremely dark. The game expects you to hold block in order to illuminate the room with your lightsaber held up, but we know where we're going, so that's not necessary.
We already know where to go.
Instead, Panache takes a direct route through without blocking at all and does a few very precise target lock jumps in order to skip the entirety of the Zepho village. And now we're headed back and we're near the ATST. And it's time for the only real fight of the game.
True. It's funny, we have an all boss category, and just regular any percent is a no boss category because there's actually a PBC you can do into the Mantis that skips this fight and the almost 3-minute cutscene after it.
That's right, yeah.
So Panache has very clean form here on this fight, avoiding all those bombs, getting in some nice
dropped the
damage.
one bomb.
Overhead slash story mode ATSTs aren't that bad. They aren't much of a problem, but they can be annoying when they drop lots of bombs and the shock mines. So
That was
yeah,
about
it's
as
a
good
very
as it
clean
gets.
fight.
That was within maybe a second or two of a perfect fight with the ATST. A lot of that is RNG heavy, but Panache was very careful to manipulate the ATST's behavior by forcing him to take steps backwards, slowing him at a particular time. Then he knew that the ATST was going to drop bombs at a very specific time in that sequence. So he was able to set that all up exactly the way that he wanted it to go down so that he could strike him the exact number of times that it would take to knock him down. And then he has to kill the commander inside in order to open the door to enter the Mantis and watch this cutscene, which might be another good opportunity to read donations.
Sure. Do we have time for 4? Because they're pretty special.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do them.
All right.
Yeah.
First off, we have $50 from Lucas Sparks, who says, Respawn is watching and loves GDQ. Thank you for doing what you do. Respect to you all.
Hi, Respawn.
Be overwhelming.
Awesome.
We have $100 from P. Nash's mom, who says, good luck with your speed run. My mom was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. It is great that AGDQ is benefiting funds for the prevention of cancer. Love you, P. Nash.
Thanks, Mom.
Started.
We have $100 from P. Nash's Aunt Marie, who says, good luck with your speed run. Love you. We are very proud of you. Happy.
Imperial Patrol.
And we have $100 from P. Nash's grandma, who says, have a great run. Love you. Thank you for doing this run for me.
Caught me,
Oh,
You're
that's so
welcome, Grandma.
sweet.
and they tortured me.
Awesome.
And when
It's
it
excellent.
was the others, and
Let's talk a little bit about the
I
patch
left
that
most
came
of
out
it
on
into
May
my
4th,
health.
since Respawn is listening.
over.
Let's talk about that.
So before May 4th, there was some movement cancellations that we were doing in this game where we could cancel dashes by tapping block. And if you tapped block quickly enough, then Cal would lift his lightsaber for just like a quarter of his animation, then put it back down. And we actually used that blocking cancellation for a lot of different movements, which essentially allowed for some really high level skill play to take place, especially like late game, where we're looking at like saving frames and trying to move very, very precisely.
We can't let the sacrifice of those
Respawn
closest
put out
to
a
us
patch on May 4th, which actually added some really cool new features, including the ability to do practice fights at meditation pads when you're in New Game Plus against any enemy that you want, including, you know, bosses and Trilla and even yourself if you want to, which is pretty neat. But one of the things that they did do in that patch was remove the ability to cancel movements with blocks, because anytime that you press the block button, now Cal is very committed to blocking. He holds up his lightsaber for a solid 1.5 or 2 seconds or so. In the process of fixing that glitch that we really liked, they caused another glitch, which was really interesting and really raised our eyebrows. And we didn't know what to make of it for a while, but it's been around now for a bit, and we are pretty sure that it's going to be in the run ongoing. And we've learned now to optimize around it, and it's kind of cool. And we're going to show that off starting on Kashyyyk, which is where we're headed now. And essentially what it allows us to do is cancel our jump ability. And we will show that off in a minute, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail then. But it totally changed the run. And ever since then, the run has come down precipitously from 3 hours and about 20 minutes to now an hour and 13 minutes. So big difference that patch made, and hopefully the next one still keeps that glitch that we are so reliant upon, but maybe also gives us skippable cutscenes. That would be great.
Talk about the terrarium that we've been utilizing.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, great point. So we haven't talked about the terrarium yet. So on the Mantis, the pilot of the Mantis is Grease, and he keeps a terrarium of different plants from different planets. And essentially, whenever you are on the Mantis traveling from one planet to another, it will start a kind of mini cutscene where Grease and Seer will have a chit-chat about whatever. There's some 40 or 45 different little chit-chats that they have, and we've timed them all and figured out exactly which ones are long and which ones are short. And it turns out that now with the current route that we have, there are enough uses of the terrarium where we can walk up to it, activate the terrarium while Grease is talking to Seer. It interrupts their conversation and then allows you to essentially sit in the co-pilot seat the moment that the next planet is loaded. So instead of listening to their conversation about, you know, the wear and tear that's been put on the Mantis, we can just walk over to the terrarium, ask Grease, you know, what is this thing? And then Grease will explain what a terrarium is. And while he's doing that, he'll say, get up here and sit in your seat, and you can then walk over to your seat, sit down, and the next planet immediately loads. This saves quite a lot of time, especially added up over the course of the entire run.
Stay alive down there.
What also will save a lot of time is the various places in which we exit and reload the game. So in most cutscenes, if you exit and reload before the cutscene has completed, then the game will put you back into the game at the start of that cutscene. But this place here, as soon as we see that save logo on the bottom right-hand corner, Pinash exits out and then restarts the game, and that skips the next mini cutscene and also loads Cal in the water at half the distance to his target that he would typically be. So he's able to swim now to this AT-AT and pilot it. It's the only vehicle that we pilot in the entire game. much more quickly than he would if he had not skipped that cutscene.
Yep, there's quite a list of cutscenes, and most of them are on Kashyyyk where you can do this. You can save quit and actually load in at the end of the cutscene. And coming up here on this AT-AT, climbing on moving objects in this game is kind of janky, and he really wants to be careful here because it's really easy to just mistime a jump while the leg is moving or something and cause Cal to fall off. And there's very precise jumps that he needs to do here. He tries not to do too many jumps because you just really want to be careful with these jumps. And coming up here, there is one little optimization that we can do where if you jump at the end of this little patch of vines, you can skip a little stumble animation. It looks like he did it perfectly.
Well done.
And it's where Cal would usually get shot by a laser and he would stumble for about a second or two, and he managed to skip that. Very well done.
There's only a few pixels where you can actually make that jump to skip that laser blast that typically hits the side of the AT-AT. And Vesper's absolutely right about how complicated that climbing section can be. You know, part of the problem here is that it's not even that it's precise. It's not even that it would be Pinash's fault if he fell in. It's that that AT-AT is walking forward, and as it walks forward, it can just step away from you as you're jumping through your climbs. And so it's just possible to do everything perfectly and still just whiff and just land back in the drink, and you gotta re-climb all the way back up to the top.
And you just witnessed one of the only combat sections that we actually have to do to get through the game.
That's right, I actually forgot about that combat section.
So if you blinked, you might have missed it.
Yeah, he made very short work of those 3 stormtroopers. And so now he's piloting this AT-AT. It's such a cool part of this game to play casually. I really loved this. You know, the first time that I played this, I was just so blown away by it. I was so excited to do this. But now as a speedrunner, we kind of see it as like almost a cutscene because we're very much on rails.
Essentially.
Yeah, it's an auto-scroller. There's not that much to do. We have to blow up that other AT-AT. Pretty much everything that Panache does from here until we get to the landing pad is totally optional. He doesn't have to do any of this stuff. But because he gets bored and he has ADD, he's going to kill everyone that he sees.
It's faster, I swear.
And destroy those bridges, I'm sure, and also that other walker over there. So once we get to the landing platform, our goal is to get the ship that is currently on the landing platform into the air as quickly as we possibly can. The trigger that causes the ship to take off is blowing up the platform. The trigger for blowing up the platform is blowing up one of these red barrels, and the red barrel that it is randomly selected, and that was awesome that he got it very early.
Textbook platform.
Perfect. And now it's going to take maybe 5 or 10 seconds for that aircraft to take off. So he found the barrel. It could be any of them. There's probably 30 or 40 barrels on the ground there that you have to shoot all of them until you find the one that actually causes this ship to take off. And then he's got to make the ship blow up 3 times, and he's already got 1, if I'm not mistaken. My stream glitched out for a sec.
If Respawn is still watching, could we get some insight as to what actually makes the platform blow up and what determines the barrels and the triggers and whatnot?
We have a lot of theories, but we're very
great.
superstitious about it. We hold our breath. We try to blindfold ourselves. We shoot barrels in clockwise order only. Wait.
We blink 3 times, we spin around in our chair.
That's right. So we haven't. We've tried actually to look at memory and see if we can figure out what exactly it is that triggers that to happen, and have not figured it out yet. Yeah, I'm okay. So we have no idea how that is calculated. But one thing that we do know is that it is the barrel that will blow up the platform is chosen at the time that the save game is created. We know that for sure because reusing the same save games over and over again will cause the same barrels to be the trigger that blows up the platform. We've discovered that through very rigorous testing. We are pretty sure that that's the case, but what then else causes the barrel to be chosen, we don't know. Or how even what the requirements are that make the ship blow up is also a question mark. There's lots of theories about what makes the ship blow up the fastest. the biggest challenge is that whatever it is that causes the ship to blow up is several seconds, maybe 10 or more seconds before the ship actually blows up. So you do something to it, and then you could do nothing for 10 seconds, and then it will blow up, and we don't know exactly what the cause of that is. And so any advice that anyone can give to our community on how to figure that out, we would definitely appreciate it. It will make our runs a lot more consistent, and we would thank you very much.
Yep. So after this super long cutscene, or it's not that long compared to the rest of them in the run, but after this cutscene, we're going to have about 15 minutes of straight gameplay, which is the longest section of gameplay in the run. Kashyyyk is hands down the most technical split and just section of this run in general. There are lots of little skips. You're always doing something, and you have to be on your A game, or else this is reset territory for most runners.
We're back.
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult planet. Probably the hardest planet in the run.
Yeah, overall.
Zepho is also difficult, but this is...
It's the longest split in the run by far.
Yes.
And there's a lot of little skips. It's really easy for your time loss to snowball. And coming up here, we have one BD upgrade that we need to get. It's Overcharge. And we only need it for 2 things. And we actually know how to skip those 2 things, but it's slower than just getting Overcharge. So we just do it.
That's right. So Overcharge allows BD to activate Imperial tech. It'll allow us to do things like lower bridges and activate like spinny things on walls and stuff like that. So we're going to give him that upgrade here, and then Panache is going to walk through this spider web in order to spawn a spider that he can then use as a target to target lock jump out of this room. Perfectly done. Again, another beautiful target lock jump. And
coming up here is easily one of the most precise tricks in the whole run.
Oh yes, sure. This is very difficult. This the saw skip is what we're talking about. That's BD opening that, by the way. You can't see him there because we've deleted him.
Trust us. He's there. I promise.
That's great.
So saw skip. There's about a minute-long cutscene where Saw explains to you that they have Wookiees trapped and enslaved, working for them to refine a powerful sap compound, as he would say. And there's about a minute-long cutscene where he tells you to free the Wookiees. And we're going to skip that by doing a very precise set of jumps. And Panache got it first try. That is literally one of the hardest tricks in this run. And he just nailed it first try. The game really doesn't want you to do that. He jumps to the right and then does another jump straight forward to get over that railing and just barely miss the cutscene trigger. And then does a well-timed dash flip to go through that NPC and get to the Imperial Refinery.
I've been running this game for a long time, and I've only gotten that a couple of times ever. That's such a difficult trick, and really, really well done there. So now we're going to jump immediately out of bounds by going on top of this corridor. Yeah, that was perfectly done. One more target lock jump. There we go, and now we're on top. And we're going to go into a room that was kind of created for ambiance. There's some invisible stormtroopers fighting some invisible rebels or Wookiees or who knows what. And Panache is going to do a very precise dash and jump into...
Oh, he got it.
Oh my goodness.
His computer is so good that area loads way too fast for him to get through usually, and he managed to nail it. Usually you'd have to do a very precise falling dash to get through that room after the walls have loaded in, but he managed to get through before it even loaded, which is very tough to do.
It's extremely difficult. That's a very difficult trick, and lots of runs end
Don't forget the safety save.
Yeah, safety save, safety save, safety save.
Fine.
I mean...
So we're taking a safety save here because the next major skip that he's going to do, actually there's the next major skip after the next major skip that he's about to do is punishingly bad if he somehow ends up voiding out or dying. So he does another target lock jump to get on top of this platform, and now the longest target lock jump in the game. He's going to jump across a huge gap. Oops. Stepped once too many times off the ledge.
It's really easy to accidentally walk off the edge of the ground.
Very tough to find the spot.
Now that Trooper's in the spot.
He's in the spot. He hasn't been in this spot in a long time.
He's throwing bows.
All right. Stormtrooper, we gotta go.
Nice jump. Nice jump.
Nails
well
it.
Done. Well done.
Nails
Good
it.
recovery. Okay, so now he's here so fast that this area is not quite loaded yet, but it loaded in now, and we're going to use this Firefly thing to do a target lock jump and get out of bounds again. We're going to get back on top of that ceiling. Yeah, nicely done.
All right, and here we're coming up to what we call barrier skip. And the first part of this involves opening a shortcut door for reasons that we will explain later. and he's actually going to try to do a little optimization where he misses a loading trigger on the slide that's coming up here. And if he does that, it'll actually remove some geometry later on in the level that'll allow him to get to where we need to go a little bit sooner. And it looks like he nailed
perfect.
the skip on that loading trigger.
And for the record,
so if we're doing a PBC, all right, go ahead.
he did intentionally void out that first time. That first void out allowed him to load the part that he's in now, but he was very careful to avoid another loading trigger that would have loaded.
Nails the
Yeah, that was
TLJ.
perfect.
So now we're going all the way out of bounds underneath the entire map. And we're basically getting to a loading trigger that will load in the tunnel after the Shadowlands. And the only reason we're doing this is because there is an invisible wall that checks if you have powered zipline upgrade for BD1. And if you don't have that, it will teleport you back up, way back into that room with the elevator. And that's the only reason we're opening that door, is because you can't get out otherwise unless you ride the elevator out. If we were doing a PBC run, we wouldn't have to open that door. We could just PBC through it. But yeah, the wall was a huge obstacle, and for a while, the only way Panache could figure out how to skip it was with a PBC, and he found a way to do it without PBCs, which is what you're seeing now. He's going to do a very precise jump and then photo mode to get the tunnel to load in around him. Textbook.
Perfect. Did you discover that,
And Barry-
that loading trigger, Panache?
Myself
Yes,
and
Panache did everything.
Brendo worked together on
Nice.
that one.
Well done, guys. That was a huge time save. The powered zipline that Vesper was just talking about is BD's ability to ride a zipline up a slope. And the game expects you to be soft locked if you make it all the way down here without that ability. And so it just teleports you to a place that's safe to not have it. Oh,
Yep. I don't possibly understand how a casual player could get down there without powered zipline.
They would have to do
There is
a
a
lot
chance
of-
they could save at that meditation circle, and then they would theoretically be hard locked.
Exactly.
But that wall can save you from it, and it's ironic because on the way out of Kashyyyk, we actually used that wall to teleport back, which is a lot faster, and it's ironic
right.
because we spend so much time and effort trying to figure out a way to skip it on the way in.
Exactly. And now that we're on the other side of it, it's going to be the exact thing that we're going to use to get out of this planet as quickly as possible. So this skip here is a very precise skip. Oh, that's very tough.
Oh, just a little
so
short.
It's he's going to do a little bit of pinballing around this stage. Okay, he's going to take the backup strat.
Yeah, I'm
so
not going. All right.
this backup strat is faster, probably.
Yeah.
It's just not as cool looking.
The other one is
So-
extremely precise and difficult. It's not really even worth doing. I just wanted to try and show it off.
Yeah, no, that was cool. So he just did this dash off of this launch pad into a rope. The game does not expect you to do that at all. That's not how they want you to do this. In fact, you're supposed to have the ability to do force pull at this point in the game. Force pull allows you to kind of just get kind of close to ropes and then pull them into you so that you can swing wherever you need to go. Instead, the way that Panache did that, he dashed into that launch pad, which is not intended behavior, and then very precisely angled himself into that rope. If it looked like it was easier or given, then it was a trick, an optical illusion, because it is extremely precise. If you're off by a degree, then you will miss. So here, Panache is going to dash up some 3D geometry that was not intended to be
Suboptimal slug placement.
it's an unfortunate slug. Skipping a good 30 seconds of map there, which that was perfect. And a little climb.
So basically, the only thing we need on Kashyyyk is Jedi Flip, and that's the only reason we're going this far into Kashyyyk. We don't actually fight the Ninth Sister at all. We don't even see her after Braca. And we're basically just turning around, getting Jedi Flip, and then heading out, because it grants us the ability of the glitch that we just mentioned previously. And we don't even fight the Ninth Sister, we just turn around and leave.
we can leave with
And
the
we basically...
The other thing is that you also are supposed to get the rebreather, which is the ability to it's
We'll
like
skip
Cal's,
that one day.
Cal's scuba gear. So it's you really don't technically need it, but it is kind of complicated to do the rest of the run without it. I don't know if you can without a cheat, as a matter of fact. So here we're going to skip an encounter with
not quite far enough on that jump, but this skip thankfully doesn't lose very much time if
perfect.
you mess it up. But it does skip a pretty long cutscene where the Night Sister shows up and tries to, it just calls you a Jedi scum, of course, and tries to shoot you a little bit.
So
just for
the
funsies.
Ninth Sister is kind of like an underling of the second sister, who is kind of like a Sith intern. Her job is to hunt Jedi, and yeah, so we will not see her in this run at all because of glitches that we're going to use to skip all of the parts that she's included in.
Yep. After barrier skip, we basically just have to play through most of the origin tree section casually, with a few little skips sprinkled in there just to skip cutscenes and little bits of climbing sections and whatnot. But yeah, we're basically just trying to get up and get Jedi Flip as fast as possible, which we're coming up to pretty quickly,
Yeah,
actually.
it's coming up very soon. This actually might be a good opportunity to read a donation. We probably got about 30 seconds or so.
Sure. We got a $25 donation from Pharaoh's Queen, who says, I've been hyped for this Fallen Order run since the schedule was announced. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm so excited to see it finally get featured. Remember, trust only in the Force.
Awesome.
That's great.
Persistence
great donation.
reveals the path. You can do another one. You got more?
Pointless acrobatics.
So Panache had to dive under the water here in order to get below this barrier. As he resurfaces, it's very important that he resurfaces from the water at the exact same moment that Cal's going to put his feet down on this surface. If he does that, then Cal won't take a second to catch his breath, which was very well done there.
Pretty good, pretty good.
So now just a little bit of movement in order to get to the next launch pad. This is going to take a dash flip to get past this slug. Nice.
And this is actually the last target lock jump in the game because we're about to get a much better ability for vertical
Whoopsie
movement.
daisy. Well, one more target lock jump, and there it is.
Oh, my midair stim canceled my climb.
Oh, whoops.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, right.
I was getting scared. I was gonna die.
That stim was
Story
his
mode.
ability to heal himself. Typically unnecessary for a runner like Panache.
OCD,
Self
I
is
just
running a little
needed
low.
my health to be maximum.
All right, and so here we're headed into the memory where Cal learns how to Jedi Flip. A Jedi Flip is the ability to do a double jump, essentially. So Cal will jump, and the game sets a flag that says that he can jump one more time in midair. And as part of that May 4th patch of the game, changing the way that cancels worked, movement cancellations worked, caused this new glitch that we're going to be using for the rest of the run. Essentially, the way that it works, Panache is going to jump, and then he's going to jump again, activating the Jedi Flip. And then he's going to use the slow ability. The slow ability will then cancel the Jedi Flip flag and allow him to do another Jedi Flip. And then he will hit slow again, and he will do another Jedi Flip, and he will hit slow again, and he'll do another Jedi Flip, and he'll hit slow again, and he'll do another Jedi Flip. And he will fly now directly to the places that we've discovered through exhaustive testing, tons of hours of trying to find these loading triggers to load the next part of these planets.
Panache is the king of loading triggers, and the one we're on our way to right now, as you can see, we just immediately turned around as soon as we got Jedi Flip, because we don't need to go any farther. We don't need to fight the boss of this area. We can just turn around and head back to actually the exact same loading trigger that we hit during barrier skip to actually get into the tunnel originally. It's the same loading trigger. There is a much more tried and tested way of hitting it, but Panache just discovered this way the other day, and he is very brave, so he's going to be going for it. It's a little bit faster because it's a straight line, but it's very precise. There's almost no existing visual cues to use for anything.
Not to make him nervous. You got this, buddy.
He's done this 100 times in the last 2 days.
Don't worry, it's only the hardest trick in the game, so...
So, like, you know...
Yeah. Oh, and he nailed it. There it is.
Perfect.
That's...
He loads directly into the tunnel, and you're going to see he's going to come up here. We're actually going to... The screen's going to turn black, and we're all of a sudden going to be back up in the elevator room.
And he teleported back to the elevator.
Because we don't have a powered zip line.
Exactly. So the ability to powered zip, which we did not get, teleported us back up to this room. And now Panache is going to fly around and hit a very specific loading trigger He's hitting this loading trigger. He doesn't actually have to technically do it, but if he does not hit this loading trigger, then there's like a 1 in 4 or 5 chance that the elevator that he's going to ride in just a moment will stop at the bottom and not open its doors. And it might take 2 or 3 or 5 minutes for it to open its doors. And we don't know why that happens. We don't have a good understanding of what causes the elevator to get stuck there. But what we do know is that if you hit that one loading trigger, then we don't usually see this weird problem where the elevator gets stuck. So we entered this elevator from the side where there was no world loaded. We're going to ride it down into the middle of Kashyyyk, and then as soon as it stops, we're going to reactivate the elevator, and we're going to ride it all the way back to the Mantis, and it's going to let us out right at the door of the Mantis, skipping the entire rest of this planet. Huge time save, huge skip. And as you can see, we did not get the long elevator, so brilliantly done.
There normally would be a cutscene upon entering the Mantis if you did fight the Night Sister, and since we didn't, we don't have to watch that anymore. It's the one where Grease pours a concerning amount of salt onto his food. And thankfully we don't have, that's no longer canon, thankfully, so yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna save Grease's heart. There actually, we did find another way to skip that cutscene right before this route was refined, and we
Right before we
no
could
longer
fly.
fight the Ninth Sister. Yeah, exactly. And that method of skipping the cutscene was actually really neat and would have been cool to show off, but it's totally not necessary now that we can fly and skip the Ninth Sister fight. So Panache is
Nothing
just standing
matters
at
anymore.
the. Exactly. Panache is
Nothing
just
matters
standing at the
after Kashyyyk.
terrarium. Right, so from here on out, this game is going to move really quickly.
It's all flying.
Things are going to move fast. It's going to be
we've got
flying
about
to
25
specific
minutes
targets.
left in the run.
Yeah, exactly.
It basically just involves flying through the void to hit the loading trigger for the last area that we want, and then doing the same thing to come back.
Yeah, we're going to skip a lot of stuff in rapid succession, and it's all very precise, but really neat to watch, in my opinion. And you saw that Panache was standing at the terrarium, waiting for Grease and Seer to start just yapping about whatever, and he immediately canceled their conversation, went to his co-pilot seat and sat down, and now we're headed into Dathomir. Dathomir is the home planet of the Night Brothers and Night Sisters. You may or may not know of a character named Darth Maul. He's a Night Brother. We are going to skip a small cutscene here where a Night Sister is introduced. Her name is Marin. By flying over the trigger, that was perfectly done. And
if you are familiar with Dathomir and how the story progresses, there is a lengthy flashback that you go through, and then Cal faces his nightmares or what have you, and gets his lightsaber broken. And this usually requires you to go to the planet Ilum. The game basically forces you to, so you can repair your lightsaber and then come back to Dathomir to face your fears and obtain the Astrium, which is what we're here for, which is what unlocks the holocron.
we're not doing any of that.
No, we don't like Ilum. Ilum's boring. So about a month and a half ago, I'd say, a member of the community discovered a way to load the part of this temple that has the Astrium in it without actually leaving, which we thought to be impossible before this. So we actually found a way to do Dathomir in one visit, which saves like about 10 minutes off of this run.
It might even be more than that. I mean,
that was astounding.
At that point, it might have been 10 minutes because we had a really optimized Ilum, but Ilum is actually a pretty long planet. But yeah, we have a huge time saved by not having to go to Ilum at all. So here, Cal is resting at this meditation pad, and he's going to have a bad acid trip. He's going to remember the moment that Order 66 happened, but we're not going to do any of that. Instead, we're just going to immediately fly out of bounds, going past these stormtroopers who are all friendly until the moment they attempt to kill you, and then fly under a loading trigger that would have taken us back to the planet of Dathomir, and then up into a loading trigger that exposes the rest of the Order 66 flashback scene. This is extremely precise. There are no real visual cues of where he is. He's using the building to see kind of the edges of where it's loaded.
He's using the Force.
He is using the Force. It's very tough to know where this is.
You might have missed it.
Yeah,
Yep,
missed it.
He's got to double back a little bit.
It's a very, very tough loading
There,
trigger
he got
to hit.
it.
He
Not
got
bad.
it. Oh, Brilliant.
Barely lost any time to that.
Oh my God, he only lost like a second or two, which is tough. If
So-
you miss that, that is.
Yeah. All we really need to do is load in the final room and trigger this cutscene, which is what lets the back half of the temple load. And normally this whole Order 66 flashback and ordeal, all the gameplay and cutscenes involved, usually takes you about 10 minutes to get to this point from when you meditate. And when you fly out of the roof like that, it takes about less than a minute to get here. So
Let's qualify that, because 10 minutes, it takes 10 minutes to do that if you are playing an optimal, already optimized,
yeah, if
heavily
you've played it
cut,
before, yeah,
skipping route.
you know where to go.
Exactly. I think that casually you could probably spend, a couple of hours playing this Order
Especially if you're
66.
taking in all the nostalgia.
Exactly. And it's actually really cool. And it's kind of sad
It's a
to
really
skip it
cool
all,
scene the
but-
first dozen times.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
that, not so much.
On the 120th time, you're like, okay, I don't know if I can hear Cal cry his little heart
Cal,
out again.
Cal screaming.
He's gonna have a boohoo moment, and you feel for him, because of course Gerard DePaul is going to very tragically die, but also I don't care anymore. I don't want to.
Let's just go to Bogano.
You want to
That's right.
get a few donations in here if you have some?
Good idea.
Good,
Oh yeah,
good
we
time.
have a lot.
Yeah, just
we
just
have
keep 'em
a
coming for a little
$25.
bit.
We have a $25 donation from Brendo who says, "Good luck, Panache, PBC,
Brendo.
Andy. I've went from teacher to student. Love you, brother."
Oh my god.
We've got a $25 donation from Sid who said, "Dedicated to Panache Grandma and all the troopers fighting this battle."
Thank you guys.
We have a $10 donation from Anonymous who says, "I absolutely loved Jedi Fallen Order when it came out, and I can't wait to see it crushed in 2 hours. Shout out to my bae Marin from Dathomir. Sadly, we didn't get to see so much of her. I will donate another 10 if the couch or the runner can guess my favorite lightsaber color. Hint, it's available in the game."
Cyan.
Ooh. Indigo.
Oh, it's a good one.
All right, we got our
Yellow.
guesses in there.
All
I
right.
like cyan.
So Panache flew out of that fight with Gerard DePaul instead of breaking his lightsaber with him, and instead he's going back into the temple where he had that nightmare flashback, and he is going to hit this meditation point, which now allows him to exit this temple and go directly to the Astrium, which is the key that will unlock the holocron back on Bogano.
Yeah, we're not exactly sure what happens here, but doing this exact set of moves in a row lets the back half of the temple load, as we used to think was impossible without going to Ilum. It basically tricks the game into thinking you did the flashback and then you left and came back, which is what the save quit does.
Exactly,
And
right, yeah.
then it tricks the game into thinking you're here for a second time after going to Ilum, even though we are obviously still on Dathomir, so Ilum's not even crossed our mind at this point.
You'll notice that Panache is taking a weird route out of this room. Obviously not the intended way, but unfortunately he is locked in because of the way that he has circumvented so much of the story. And so the only way out of that room is through a weird crack in the roof that kind of leads to a chimney, and you kind of Santa Claus out of there. So now we are on top of the back half of this temple, which, as you can see, doesn't have any textures. And we have to land in a very specific spot in order to load the back half. Perfect. And from here, we're going to totally skip the most interesting part of this game, which is our friend Terran Malicos.
It's cool they had a Malicos cameo in this game.
Oh, there he is, yeah.
It's basically just a cameo at this
There he
point.
goes.
Yep,
Just
unfortunately.
waiting,
an extra.
patiently
We're just
waiting.
I'm going to fly over him instead of fighting him. He is super
Don't
cool.
wanna
and
watch
Please
he's
don't fall
nice.
down. Please don't fall down.
Yeah, so by doing the camera mode like he was doing, there's a good chance that his next inputs get eaten and he can fall down and end up fighting Terran Malicos. So that was a little brave, but he did just
But not
fine.
wise.
So now he's going to very specifically avoid touching the ground here to avoid another little cutscene and grab the astrium in such a way that Cal is having a cutscene with a character, Marin, who is a Night Sister, who should have been introduced to us a while ago now. She's not fully loaded. Her hair is missing. Also, her hood is missing, and also the floor is missing. And so
Nothing makes sense.
nothing really makes sense. We watch this little cutscene, and at the end of it, Cal is going to fall into the void, and he's going to void out, and the game will respawn him at the last place that he was standing on solid ground, which is all the way back at the beginning of the temple, essentially warping him back out of this planet. Another huge time save that he will have to exit Dathomir in breakneck speed.
We can probably work a couple more donations in real quick.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, we have $25 from E-Link, who says, I got some of this money from you as a thank you for the poncho, but I feel like it's better to donate it to PCF. Good luck on the run, my dude. Oh, and by the way, did you know you can fly in this game?
We get that a
Elaine.
lot.
Way easier than those silly TLJs. Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just go up, dude.
So it's very common for helpful YouTubers to come into our VODs and drop comments asking us if we're aware of this skip or that skip. They're always fun and funny, and we appreciate it. We definitely do. In fact, I have to say that at least 2 or 3 huge skips in this game have been found by people who are just not a part of the speedrunning community. So if you come across something, you see something that's a little bit crazy, you're not sure if we know about it, bring it to us. We want to know about it, definitely.
More than happy to know about it.
It is funny sometimes, however, to get a comment on a video that has an hour of flying with a question, did you know that it's possible to fly in this game? So
I didn't watch your whole video, but
I didn't watch your run, but can you fly?
Yeah,
I don't think you
exactly.
flew in your run.
They might take a little bit of convincing.
We got,
So
we
yeah,
got
this
time
is
for a few
basically
more.
the last.
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
for it. Go
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
sure. Yeah, there's a lot here. We have a $25 donation from Baron Carrot of Caldara, who says, putting forth another donation because people like P Nash's grandmother needs lots of love. P Nash, your fellow gamers stand with you. Caldara stands with you, and long live your grandma.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, that's great. So Pinash voided out and was respawned back in the temple. He exited again through the chimney like Santa Claus. And now he's on his way back to the Mantis in the fastest way possible. The game just does not know what is going on at this point. It knows that he has the Astrium. Typically, there would be zombies all over the place. And anyway,
There's
none
like
of that
a
is happening.
5-minute Malicos cutscene in there somewhere that you'd have to watch, but nah, we don't like cutscenes. You can't
Malchus
tell.
makes a really good point. He explains to Cal that it's not a great idea to try to restart the Jedi Order. He's actually a really smart guy, and Cal, in the casual play of this game, murders him for it.
So we actually have to fly up over this because that trigger to introduce Marin to us is still there, even though we already know who Marin is and she's already coming back with us. The game still wants us to try and meet her for the first time. So the cutscene trigger is still there on the way out, so that's why Panache had to fly over a little bit.
Well, that's right. And so now he's headed back into the Mantis, and we're going to watch another cutscene, which will be another great opportunity for some more donations.
All right, we have $25 from Leo, who says, hey, Panache, Leo here. So awesome that you are on the GDQ stage. Best of luck, and if you need inspiration, just picture Dan's can pick in your head. You've got this.
I trust her.
Dan's can pick.
Wow. Thanks, Leo.
We have a $15 donation from Joker NTV, who says, just want to say, this is an awesome and great cause, so I hope to see it break another million at least, but I just wanted to donate also because of P-Nash, Vesper One, and Bang Up Job as usual, and say this is awesome to see Jedi Force on GDQ. Good luck and mad respect from the Jedi Fallen Order community.
Thanks, Joker.
Thanks, guys.
Love you, Joker.
We have $10 from Trey Shirt, who says, real proud of our favorite warlock, P-Nash. Go fast from the Storm Rage family.
Thank you.
All right,
really
so
great donations here, guys. Keep them coming.
yeah, keep it
Let's
coming.
break
That's
2
great.
million.
Great stuff.
What are we at now? I'll check in a second here. Unless you guys want to.
Looks like about 1029.
Very nice.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So now we're headed back to the planet of Bogano, which is the first open world planet that we visited. We're now returning with the MacGuffin to unlock the vault.
McMuffin.
The McMuffin, yes. And we're going to head directly to that vault. We're going to then attempt to retrieve the holocron, and it is going to cause another nightmare vision for Cal. Here, this cutscene, typically Marin does not have her hood on. She's got her beautiful flowing hair, but because of the way that she was not loaded earlier in Dathomir, she is currently in a character model which also has a hood on. So we didn't see her with a hood on before, but
really confused.
yeah, really doesn't know what to do. And there's actually another version of the previous cutscene, the cutscene that was right before this one, where if you do it just so, you can force the game to deload all of the characters in the cutscene, and all you see is like floating beers being passed around the room, which is quite entertaining.
We managed to get through Dathomir without fighting any of the bosses. Obviously not. We didn't fight Malicos, who most people consider is one of the more entertaining fights in the game, and we skipped Garunga as well.
That's right.
And
That's
the
right.
entire swamp area down below. We don't even go there. We don't even think about it.
The Garunga boss is another
Garunga.
extremely interesting boss. What did I say it wrong?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. Very interesting boss, and very challenging too. If you're doing an all bosses run, a lot of runs die there. It's this like giant bat monster. I don't know if I want to ruin it for anybody, but God, such a cool character. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. So now
Jump cancels are illegal on Bogano.
Can't do anything in Bogano too. It's just lag.
Yeah, so there's a lot of lag here because there's a lot of like NPCs floating around. That's the first thing that's kind of a complication here. The second thing is that there's a lot of enemies that you can accidentally target and that are targeting you, and so you don't have a lot of force to work with. So optimizing force is a big part of this. Panache is going to only do dashes where he can. And try to optimize around doing as many dashes as is possible, trying to avoid the eye of any enemies that might be aggroed against him.
Closer we get to the vault.
So moving into that same room where we had the first video log with Eno Cordova, now we're going to use the Astrium to unlock a mirror and have a look at ourselves as the future that we are trying to avoid.
We think about some stuff a little bit,
Amazing.
Yes.
but we actually don't really need to see much of this flashback because it's mostly just fluff. It is really cool to witness on your first playthrough. I know I was like completely engrossed with it the first time I played this game, but we don't really need to sit through all the little flashbacks and fog walls, so we just kind of fly past most of it, which is kind of a theme if you hadn't noticed of the last half of this run.
That's right. So the way that this area works, it kind of guides you into some specific locations and then throws up some walls around you and expects you to watch what your potential future will be like when you get the Jedi holocron and go find the Force-sensitive children throughout the galaxy. But if we just fly to some very specific points and hit some loading triggers at some exact places to set up the next areas, then we can fly out of those whatever future visions and head directly to the second sister, who will kind of blackmail us into joining the Inquisitors. That's
The only
right.
thing the game we need to do on Bogano 2 is just click on the holocron as he did, so now we just need to get out.
That's right. So from here, Panache is going to fly out of bounds, head to the next loading trigger where we are going to transform into Darth Cal.
And since we fly out of this flashback and never trigger what takes it off, we can actually stay in this outfit for quite a while. Although there is one more save quit we have to do on the last level, so we can't actually keep it at the very end of the game, unfortunately. But yeah,
Cal does look great in his
Yeah.
Inquisitor uniform.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very weird with the Mandalorian mod with the helmet on there. That was
Yeah.
very strange to look at. But yeah, we're basically just trying to get out of Bogano as fast as we can, heading back to the Mantis, flying wherever possible, dashing whenever we're on the ground, because
Yep.
that's very, very, very fast. Flying horizontally is not very fast compared to dashing. So yeah, Panache is just going to be trying to dash as much as we can, and we obviously don't have powered zip lines, so he just has to awkwardly fly alongside of it like this because there is a loading trigger on the zip line that we need to hit on the way out.
So it's very
And-
important that Panache uses the route that he's taking right now. It looks like he's flying directly to the Mantis, but he's actually taking a little bit of an out of his way path. The reason that he's doing that is because if you hit a certain sequence of loading triggers just so, it's possible for the game to attempt to load a behavior of an NPC that doesn't exist, or perhaps a texture, and crash. And if it crashes to desktop. So
Yep. And Panache has never really had issues with crashing, but a lot of runners have, and it's pretty common to lose every other run that gets here to that sort of crash unless you take a route that goes way out of the way. And if Respawn's still watching, we'd like to get a little bit of insight into what maybe causes this crash, because it's pretty frustrating to say the least.
yeah, I've done a little bit of analysis on some crash dumps that we've gathered from the game, and what it looks like is that it's attempting to display a texture that doesn't exist. That's what it looks like. It looks like maybe it's trying to get it off of disk, but it's not off yet, and it's trying to display it before it's ready. That's what it appears to me to be, but you know, whatever. I don't really have access to source code or anything. All we got is a null pointer exception. So, yeah.
We got some time for donations here for a little bit.
All right, we've got a $20 donation from Charcat, who says, "Good to watch you, Pinash." We have a $10 donation from Grumpy Buddha, who says, "For the Empire, the Calderan Empire, we're here and have got your back. Good luck, Pinash. Glad to support for such a good cause from your friends in Caldera." We have $20 from Pumbamon, who says, "Good luck to Pinash and greetings to the entire JFO Discord. Made it at 4 a.m. to see my fellow runner destroy this game. And remember, say no to YOLO launch."
Thanks,
Hey,
dude.
Bumba.
So from here, we're headed to the final planet of the game, which is Nur. Nur is a prison planet. It is where Seer had faced torture, and if you are planning on playing this game casually and you're trying to avoid spoilers, this is where we get spoiler heavy. So Seer was tortured by our boy Darth Vader, and Trilla was given up by Seer essentially, and becomes the second sister. Trilla's her apprentice, and as a result of seeing Trilla become the second sister, Seer uses the dark side to escape, and that's why she's cut herself off from the Force. So now we're headed back to that planet where that all went down, and we're going to attempt to regain the holocron from Trilla. Now, you might not have seen anything about the holocron just now. What was supposed to happen was we were going to have that nightmare flash forward where we are shown what will happen if we get the holocron, and then we exit out of that mirror into a fight with Trilla, where we defeat her, but she escapes with the holocron. And so now we are hot on her trail, headed to the planet of Nur in order to retrieve the holocron before they can use it to negative effect. Panache did load that planet just now, and then he went over to the terrarium to skip the remaining mini conversation, and back into a cutscene we go. And this might be another opportunity for another donation.
Sure. We have a $5 donation from Von Valkenstein, who says, "Great poncho there, Cal."
So I'm gonna take a minute to explain Nur before we were able to fly, because it's a pretty interesting story. So Nur basically consisted of about 4 or 5 different glitches that were all completely different and were all potential run killers. So Nur was easily the most stressful part of the run before flying. It was very easy to make one slight mistake and just completely kill your run, and half the time it wasn't even your fault because we were trying to clip through a door that really didn't want us to. And now Nur is pretty boring. All we have to do is hit a couple load triggers and then leave. That's basically it. We don't even have to watch a cutscene or nothing.
It's actually really quick now. We've got it down to, what, 7 minutes from the previous entrance on to the Mantis. Is that right?
4 minutes.
It's
of
about 7:20-ish,
yeah.
around there.
Did you say 4 minutes once you're loaded into the planet? Is that
4
that
minutes
sounds
of
about right?
cutscenes. Yeah. 3
Yeah,
minutes of
oh,
gameplay.
4 minutes of cutscenes. It's actually 3 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
3 minutes of gameplay once we
Right.
get into the water, so it's
That's
very
right.
quick.
So there was one part in particular that was pretty RNG, where there was a dojo where you see the troopers, the stormtroopers training essentially and fighting each other. If you perform a very specific trick and it's very, very tight, you can skip that entire room. But it was pretty much RNG as to whether or not it worked correctly. And so lots of runs, 3 hours into their run, ended there. It was such a heartbreaker. And now we have the ability to essentially fly past everything that we don't want to play. We hit a
So
very
Panache
specific...
is gonna hit this load trigger with like no visual cues.
There's no visual cue there.
There we go. And
Perfect.
this is actually a very new optimization that Panache just found the other day. So we're actually going to drop down and touch the ground just outside this turbo lift, which is actually, if you know, played the game before, this is the way out of Nur after you fight Trilla. So we're actually going to touch the ground there, and we're going to do a very similar trick to what we just did on Dathomir and what Bang Up explained about voiding out and warping with a death warp type of thing. So we're going to be very careful to not touch the ground as we're flying through here, and we're going to be flying into the ceiling of Trilla's boss room. And the only thing the game's really checking for is that you're inside this room. And then once it does that, it's already preloaded the ending sequence of the game. And all we have to do is fly into this room, hover out a little bit, hover around a bit to make sure we hit that load trigger, and then fly over an invisible wall to void out, and we should respawn next to the turbo lift.
Perfect.
And he'll just be able to hit the button and leave. You don't even have to do anything. That's literally all the game checks for. So yeah, now that's basically the game.
That was perfect. So time is coming up in probably about a minute. It will be when Cal stabs Vader through the chest. We have just a little bit more movement left to do here. It is possible, if Pnash screws around too much, to clip through the floor of this elevator and have to redo everything he just did. So it's a little bit of a tricky elevator, but
Please don't alt tab.
yeah, don't alt tab. Don't pause buffer clip through the floor of the elevator. Okay, those are great dashes. Great chains of dashes.
Just gotta chain down this one last hallway. Really easy to mess up a dash cancel and just lose like a second out of nowhere. And
here
yeah,
we go.
everyone's
All right, so
favorite villain.
coming up on time here when we stab Vader, we're gonna hit Invisible VD shocking and coming up on stab and time.
Amazing run. That was awesome, bro.
Great run, man.
Thank
Well
you guys.
done.
Thank you guys.
What's the time?
This run has changed so much.
145. I split a bit away, like 145.50.
Oh, great run for a no reset run. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
Official
145.49.
Yep, official was 145.49.
Well done.
Right.
Oh,
Awesome.
clutch, this
Awesome.
guy.
That's a top 5 run right there.
It is.
And
It is.
that was all Zepho.
Beautiful,
Such
man.
hatred. You would have made an excellent Inquisitor.
She's stronger than that.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the main menu here. I guess I'd like to say thanks again to Games Done Quick and everyone for their generous donations tonight, throughout my run, throughout the entire week. good luck to the rest of the runners. I look forward to watching now, and for all the games going forward, moving forward. Games Done Quick moving forward. If you have any more last minute donations you want to get in here before we move on to the next run, feel free to do so now. And bang up and Vesper, if you have anything else you want to add.
I just want to say thanks for letting me talk for 2 hours. That was, I'm exhausted, but that was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a sick run. Yeah, thanks to GDQ. Obviously, this is an amazing event that you put on twice a year. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to the entire Fallen Order community, all the runners, all the mods. They're all great people. They're all very friendly, very easygoing people, ready to help out with any question you might have about this run.
I'm so pumped to be a part of this. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, seriously, it was
awesome.
absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
First GDQ. Thank you guys so much. I hope everyone enjoyed the run. Hopefully we didn't spoil too much.
All right, that was an incredible run by P-Nash of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Claps in the chat for that one. Absolutely incredible. Had a bunch of donations coming for that one too. We'll go over a few more for the moment. $25 from Zarek, who says, hey there, P-Nash and everyone in the JFO community. Miss you all a ton. A ton of work has been put into this game, everyone in the community, and I am so excited to see that you got to display it at AGDQ. Good luck on the rest of the run. And I don't think he needed luck. That was incredible. We had a $100 donation from Afro Thunder 254, who says, I'm gonna try to get this right. He says, you would be wise to surrender, P-Nash. Thank you for the $100. We had another $100 from Blazing Chaos, who says, use the glitch, P-Nash. Let's go. I'm sorry, I had to. We need more puns, they say. Thank you. Thank you both for the $100. Coming up next, we're getting set up for our next run here. Still going to go over a few things, but our next run coming up is going to be the co-op speedrun. That's right, co-op speedrun of Resident Evil 5. We've got DE Cosmic and Avu Kamu coming up, but we're still getting set up for that one. And we will be right back in just a few moments. All right, welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick 2021 online. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for sticking with us. Right now, before our next run, we've got another prize segment to tell you all about. So with that being said, here is Sent.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, and everyone, welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick 2021 online. My name is Sent, and you might notice the foil in my hand here. Not the foil to my comedy, but the foil that I'm holding. I don't talk about myself too much, but Panash's run really got me kind of thinking about a lot of things. And first off, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Panache for that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order run. It was really cool to watch, and the commentary was actually amazing. I've loved Star Wars for many years. Ever since I was a kid, my dad actually got me into it. He was an English professor, and his favorite thing to do when he didn't really feel like teaching the class was he would put in his VHS of Star Wars Episode 4 and use it as an example of the hero's journey in literature. So he always had it around, and whenever I was bored, he'd pop it into the VCR player and let me watch it. When I got a little older, I got into fencing because I, loved the lightsaber fighting of Star Wars. 6 years ago, unfortunately, we lost him to cancer. He had been a smoker for most of his life, and he developed lung cancer at some point, which he went in for treatment for, and we thought that there would potentially even be a great recovery for. But unbeknownst to us at the time, until it was far too late, it had actually spread to his brain, and he passed away peacefully in his sleep just about a month after he was diagnosed, unbeknownst to anyone. Not trying to bring anyone down, I apologize if it did, but I really just wanted to remind everyone that your donations are going directly to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and all of the work that they are doing now and that they have done in the past, including their work for early detection and prevention of cancer, means so much to so many people and is so incredibly valuable. And I wanted to thank everyone who has donated and who is considering donating in the future. And after a deep breath, on that note, I'd like to tell you all about some of the amazing prizes that you can win by donating, because there certainly are a ton of great ones. Now, right now is your absolute last chance to get in for several of the wonderful prizes that we have available. Like this amazing Resident Evil 5 themed bead canvas sent to us by Jeff Akers. It's a $20 minimum donation. This is only a $20 minimum donation. It's mixed media. You have the Chainsaw Man from Resident Evil 5 on an acrylic on canvas painting here with the blood moon, with the blood splatters off the chainsaw. It looks absolutely great. It's only a $20 donation. Come on, get those donations in. Just keep in mind, for that prize in particular, you need to get your donation in before the start of Resident Evil 5, our next game coming up. Also, speaking of prizes that are about to expire, these actually just came. I looked outside of my door, I saw there was a package, and from Crossing Pins, we have these beautiful Jumbo Isabel pins from Animal Crossing. And, when I saw, okay, there's some Jumbo pins, like, yeah, sure, maybe they're big. No, that's a big pin. That's like the size of my face. It's absolutely wonderful, too. You can see a closer-up picture of it over on gamesdonequick.com. Check out the prizes. It's a $10 minimum donation, but again, you have to get that donation in before the start of Resident Evil 5. Excuse me. But with the start of Resident Evil 5, we do have a couple of other new prizes coming up, and they are just as wonderful. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about them as well. From Annie Jess, we have this lovely Demon Tower themed hat. We got the main character of Demon Tower, the minigame in Night in the Woods, and it's just, a comfy hand knit hat you can wear with a fuzzy little pom-pom on top. I love it. It's adorable. It's functional. It's warm. What more could you want? $15 minimum donation from Resident Evil until the end of Inertial Drift a little bit later this morning. So make sure to get those donations in. Keeping up with the Night in the Woods theme, we have from Robolo Belfords this beautiful Night in the Woods themed poster. It's Mae Broflovsky gets it together. It's kind of got a Scott Pilgrim vibe to it with all the characters from Night in the Woods. I love the style. It's super adorable. It's a great homage. $10 minimum donation from now until the end of Inertial Drift. Make sure to get those donations in. Thank you so much for sending that out to us. From longtime friend of the stream, Carrie Fry, we have this absolutely beautiful Junimo coloring book. It's just an adorable little coloring book that you can color in, featuring Junimo and all of these wonderful little friends here. $5 minimum donation, and Gary, thank you so much for sending it out to us. It's wonderful. Make sure to get those donations in after all. Now, from our friends over at Fangamer and Legends of Localization, we have Legends of Localization Book 1, The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda is, you know, one of the classic NES games, and you probably wouldn't think, well, there's barely any text in that game, right, Sent? Like, how much trouble could localizing Zelda really have been? And that is where you're wrong, because the Legends of Localization team, including Clyde Mado-Mandolin, goes through basically just about everything you need to know about the localization of the first Legend of Zelda game, and everything that had to be changed in the game, from the appearance of gravestones to even some of the music to make a little bit more sense and to be more palatable, or at least what they thought would be more palatable, to a Western audience. It's a super great read. $10 minimum donation, but you got to get that donation in before the end of Inertial Drift later this morning. There are so many great prizes. I got to talk about more of them because they're just so cool. From our good friend and fellow host Iggy Zig, we have a Nezumi Man plushie. Shoutouts to Nezumi Man. It's a good Mega Man game. It's an adorable little Nezumi Man plushie. $10 minimum donation from now until the end of Inertial Drift. Make sure to get those donations in. What else do we have? We have so much fun stuff. It's hard to pick out what to talk about next. From Uncommonly Nerd Made, we have a beautiful magnetic Katamari. You can see a great example picture of the magnetic Katamari on our website if you head over to gamesdonequick.com. Uncommonly Nerdy has offered actually to custom make one for the winner. So whatever, you know, colors they would like their Katamari ball to be, it certainly can be. And all of the endpoints on it are magnetic, so you can roll it around, magnetized items, and grow your own ball of the cosmos. It's an absolutely cool idea. I'm a huge fan of it, and it is a $10 minimum donation from now until the end of Inertial Drift, so make sure to get those donations in. Now here, I have something I'm probably going to need to bring up to the camera, because from Folding Pixels, we have this absolutely beautiful Mega Man 2 papercraft diorama. And I know what you're saying, Sent, from this distance, I can't really see anything. Let me fix that. I will get up. That's how much I like this prize. I'm going to get up and show it to people. Ow, I'm going to trip over myself. All right, so if we just go over here, let's see if we can't get, nope, okay, there's no light up there. I apologize. You can head over to gamesdonequick.com and see a great picture of it there instead. Well, I feel very silly. That is not something that's going to show up too well, but to give you the gist of it as best as I can, it is a plastic cube, and inside the cube is a 3D papercraft diorama of Metal Man's stage from Mega Man 2. It is just absolutely immaculate, and hopefully it is showing up well enough on camera. I'll have to get a flashlight for the next time I show it off. It's absolutely beautiful, and on the front we have a papercraft Mega Man 2 cartridge. It's amazing. And you know what? It's only a $20 minimum donation, so make sure to get those donations in between now and the end of Inertial Drift. Now, of course, I can't talk about prizes without also talking about our grand prizes. We have two amazing grand prizes that you can be entered to win. Now, both of them are a $250 minimum donation, but that is cumulative throughout the entire event. So make sure to get your donations in. They all add up, and if you donate at least $250 throughout the course of the event, you'll be entered in to win both of these amazing prizes. Now, first off, from Red Wolf Networks, right here next to me, we have a lovely gaming PC. It's got everything you need. It's got an RTX 3070 in it. It's got 32 gigs of RAM. It's got an internal 250 gig NAND SSD in it. It's got everything you need to at least run Doom, the original Doom, once. That's all I'm going to promise. Probably can run it significantly more times, but I guarantee you it can run Doom once. But no, it's actually an absolutely amazing PC, and thank you so much to our friends over at Red Wolf Networks for sending it out to us. And from our friends over at Heroic Replicas, we have the opportunity for you to customize one of their Heroic Replicas. We have a whole list of replicas you can pick from and all the different customization options they have. including the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda, the Hylian Shield from Legend of Zelda, Dark Link Sword from Legend of Zelda. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the Chris Sword from the Legend of Zelda animated cartoon, Ragnell, Ike's Blade from Fire Emblem, the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII. Let's take a look at the Buster Sword real quick, because the Buster Sword is particularly cool. There we go. That is an absolutely amazing Buster Sword. It's 50 pounds and like 5 feet long. It has to ship in its own custom-built wooden crate so it can stay safe. It is a welded steel blade with an aluminum handle, and it comes with 5 socketable resin materia orbs that you can slot in that handle there, so you can be just like Cloud. It's super cool, and it's a great option if you do win that grand prize. So shout outs to our friends over at Heroic Replicas for making it possible. Now, everyone, thank you so much for sitting through this prize segment with me. I think that's going to be just about it. But as always, if you are ever curious about any upcoming information you need from the marathon, you can head over to gamesdonequick.com, because you're going to find all the information you need on upcoming speedruns in the marathon. There are some great speedruns in tonight. Don't miss out on the ones you want to watch. Head over to gamesdonequick.com. Look them up in advance. On the great incentives you can put your donations towards. You don't have to donate specifically for a prize. You just got to donate at least the minimum amount. You can put that donation wherever you want to. And of course, on all of the amazing prizes that you can win by donating. Thank you so much. And let's send it back up to the front as we get ready for Resident Evil.
All right. Thank you very much, Sent. Thank you very, very much. Sometimes, you know, just can't get the lighting just right, but it was a 10 out of 10 effort, and you can go to the website and check it out. Thank you very much again. Those prize segments are always endlessly entertaining. Coming up, we're still getting set up for our next run. It is a co-op run of Resident Evil 5, DE Cosmic and Avu Kamu getting set up. Now, I saw some folks in the chat. By the way, this is an Eternal Enigma still hosting. Saw some people in chat talking about my impression skills. I wasn't even trying to do that. And Resident Evil 5 is coming up. So maybe you'll get some Albert Wesker involved. Chris, I'm just saying, you just might. But coming up next, we're still getting set up for Resident Evil 5. Just want to remind you real quick about our upcoming bid war. We've got a pretty significant one still coming up in a few runs. It is the secret